Hello and welcome back. In the last lesson we built this little application which loaded pages, the profile page or the home page, by going off to the web server and doing a complete page reload. In this lesson we're going to migrate this app so that it can do internal client-side navigation instead using BrowserRouter. Now BrowserRouter is just an npm package which we need to install, so it's called BrowserRouter DOM. So let's put this away and open our package.json and add the package to our dependencies and rerun npm install, and we should have all the functionality we require. And now I'm going to go to the header page and I'm going to add a couple more buttons which are going to do this internal client-side routing instead. I'll use some nice fancy shadcn buttons for this. So I need to import that in, and then I'll create a couple of buttons. So here's the first one, and inside the button I'm going to start by just putting a div with home, and I'll replicate this and create a profile button. So at the moment these buttons aren't going to do anything, they're just purely for display. Let's have a quick look what they look like. So we've got a new home and profile button as well as the old ones. So the next thing I'm going to do is to replace the div with a link like this. Now this link is a BrowserRouter component, so I need to import it here. And what this is going to do is it's going to make the button responsive, and when I click on the button now, BrowserRouter is going to change the address in the address bar. So I'll do the same for the other button. So this will take us to the home address, and this will take us to the profile address. Very, very similar to these up here, except it's not going to actually go off to a web server. It's essentially just going to change what's in the browser address bar. Now, in order for us to be able to use these, we need to add something that looks very similar to the context we provided here. Remember this counter provider context? Well, BrowserRouter has something very similar called BrowserRouter or BrowserRouter if you're American. And we need to surround our app with this router, and I'll just import that. And then now anything inside app content is going to be allowed to use BrowserRouter components. So this should now work. Let's have a quick look at it running. So the old buttons are still working fine. Now if I click on home and profile, we'll see that what's up in the address bar here is changing, but we're not reloading the app. If I go to the console developer tools, look, when I'm clicking on home and profile, whilst the address bar is changing, nothing's happening down below. There's no reload. And in order for that to happen, we need to put something more BrowserRouter-ish in our application content down here. So I'm going to put in the BrowserRouter equivalent of this page choice here. And again, I need to just import from the BrowserRouter library. And then we'll have a quick look at it. So whereas before we said if page equals home, then using lazy evaluation, display the home component. Well, the BrowserRouter equivalent of that is we create a route, we supply the path, which is either slash or slash profile. This clearly equates to looking up the window location href up here, and then we say the element that we want to display if we're on that path. So I will remove these two, and I will remove all of this because it's been replaced by the BrowserRouter equivalent. Now, these aren't completely equivalent, because the big change is that when I click on these links over here, it will indeed know that these links have been clicked on, and it will refresh these routes, and these routes will be responsive to those changes. So look what happens now when I click on profile. The routes are changing. These are still working as well. If we look in the network tab, we can see that when I click on home and profile, it's loading the pages. But when I click on this home and this profile, there's no network traffic. So essentially, these routes will respond to page loads, and they'll also respond to link loads like these. So with that, I can remove these old header buttons, since there's no need to reload the page. So that's it. Just show you all the code next to each other. This is the complete implementation of client-side navigation. We have these routes over here, we have these links over here, and we have the browser router holding the entire thing together. That's all we need. So with that, I will see you in the next lesson.